Hi everybody, Tom Bull here from Sun Racing. Delighted to be joined for the Newmarket Day 3 preview, including the July Cup, by Steve Mullen, aka Templegate, and Chad Yeomans of Betway. Another cracking day's action, both at Newmarket and at Ascot as well. Let's kick off with the big race, the July Cup, which obviously is the 6 furlongs on the Newmarket July course. A cracking race, as it always is, with a multitude of very, very good sprinters in this. Golden Horde, obviously top of the market, won the Commonwealth Cup last time, gets £6 weight allowance being a 3-year-old, so must have very strong claims. Hello Yeomans won the Diamond Jubilee last time out. Skeptical is also up there, having finished third, but travelling very well in that race. Cardem also travelled really well in the Diamond Jubilee, finishing fourth. And then we go down to the likes of Oxted, Equilateral, and Threat down the bottom. Templegate, let's start with you. Cracking race as always, isn't it? What's your main fancy?
Yeah, it's great to see so many of the Royal Ascot winners turning up to all have a go at each other. That form from there is obviously going to be key. Like you just said, the £6 Golden Horn gets Golden Horde rather gets easy to make that mistake. It should be decisive in this because I thought it was very impressive when winning that Commonwealth Cup. Had plenty in hand. Big step forward from what we've seen before, and what we'd already seen was pretty good. Again, you've got, looking at the official ratings, he's the highest rated horse in the race, and yet he's getting weight. So I mean, that's a massive pointer. Hello Yeomans, I thought that was a great performance as well, but was probably just a pound or two behind Golden Horde, I would say. And then you've got Skeptical in there as well. I mean, it's hard to believe that horse. What is it? This will be his sixth run, I think. Sixth run that was at Ascot, and to go from Dundalk to run so well there was a good performance, and there could be more to come. But on balance, I think Golden Horde with the £6 is going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, definitely will be hard to beat. Chad, do you agree with that?
I do. I think Golden Horde wins. I think it's as simple as that. I think it is a really good race, and when you look at Skeptical, Helen Yeomans, dual Group 1 winner, Cardem, Threat's the interesting one, because they did think Threat was a Guineas horse. They've dodged going to the Prix Jean Prat to go against Pinatubo and dropped him in trip. I think he'll run on for a place. I don't think he'll be doing his best work early. I think he'll be doing his best work late. But I think they'll have to go some to catch it with Golden Horde. I think he's a fantastic horse. 3-year-olds got a fantastic record in this race, haven't they? Won 4 of the last 5. Clive Cox and Adam Kirby won it with a 3-year-old in 2017, I think, with Harry Angel. Good record in this. 3-year-olds. Everything just ticks the box. I think he'll win.
Lovely stuff. Very confident there, Chad. Clive Cox, obviously, as you say, had the winner with Harry Angel. Also had the winner with Lethal Force earlier in his career. I'm going to stick my neck out a bit and say I think Equilateral is going to run a big race at a price. He finished really nicely for second in the King Stan Stakes last time behind Batage, form of which is obviously very strong. I think even though in the past he's perhaps not produced his best over 6 furlongs, I think he might be a better horse now. And the way he hit the line that day suggests to me that he might have more potency to come over the 6 furlong trip. So hopefully Equilateral can run a big race. Obviously just been bought by Victory Hayes. So yeah, hopefully for a big run from that one. Moving on now, that's 3:35 July Cup done and dusted. The opening race on ITV is the Bet365 mile handicap, a class 2 race, 0 to 100 handicap, very, very competitive. 12 runners in this. Some big names and likely to be big future names. Obviously, Finest Sound produced a big run the Britannia last time. Eastern World, beaten by King Leonidas, and then won at Newmarket, and a few others, including Establish and Hakiki. He looks very exciting for John Gosden. Chad, we'll go to you this time, first of all. What's your take on the race?
I think it's going to go the way of the favourite, Finest Sound. I think Finest Sound is a really smart horse. If you go back and look at his 3 maiden thirds, they were all in top races, top maidens, ones that have all worked out. He came out of Haydock earlier in the season, or since resumption, and bolted up, put lengths between himself and the field with ease. I thought he ran into a really good horse at Royal Ascot in the Britannia, and I just think he's probably better than these. There's one, Eastern World, as you mentioned, ran into Starcat first time up, then King Leonidas, and then managed to win a very poor race at Newmarket. I think he's got to step up, and I think he's priced accordingly. So there's one who's going to be a big price called Interfaith, David Minuzier. He ran in a novice race and a maiden race as a 2-year-old over here and showed promise in both, and then went over to Longchamp and won €124,000 race quite comfortably, actually. He's got lots of ability, this horse. He ran at Newbury a couple of weeks back and he needed the run big time, and I think he'll probably need the run again. David Manuzzi's horses haven't really hit the ground running. He had Gypsy Whisper running earlier in the week at Newbury, ran on okay, but then faded late out. And I just think this horse might need the run again, but he might finish fourth. So if you can get 4 places, I think he might be, a good each way bet. But they're gonna any one of them is going to do well to get close to finest sound, I think.
Lovely, Steve. Do you agree with that?
Yep, absolutely. That was a really good race behind Calusi in the Britannia. He was beaten over 4 lengths, but there was roughly the same gap back to the third, wasn't there? It looked a really good performance, proven over the mile. He's got form on all ground. Still early days, more to come, I think. One at a bit more of a price. I'd be interested to see how Surf Dancer gets on this first crack over a mile. Been doing all right over 7 furlongs, was a bit unlucky on comeback at Sandown, didn't get the best of breaks there, and William Haggis steps the horse up. I think he'll run well, but Finest Sound, very hard to beat.
Yeah, I agree. Finest Sound, extremely difficult to beat. I couldn't back him at his price, though, and I agree. I think Surf Dance would be my pick each way. He's up in trip, as you say, up to a mile now. He was so unlucky behind Word of Wisdom at Sandown last time. I think he would have got really close to the winner that day, and I think he's still got room in this mark. He should strip fitter as well, because that was his first run of the season, so I'm expecting a big run from Surf Dancer. Another one I actually quite like as well at a bigger price is Ziggle Pops. He won really well at Lingfield in a race that's probably pretty decent earlier in the season. And although he didn't run much of a race last time at Royal Ascot, I'm prepared to forgive him that, and I think he's got a big one in him at some point. But I prefer to go with Surf Dancer in the 150. Moving on now to the 225, the British Stallion Studs EBF Fillies handicap, another 0 to 100 Class 2 handicap. Interesting little race, this one. It's quite difficult to work out. I've been struggling a little bit. A few of these very unexposed, a few of these exposed. In the Angel down the bottom of the weights for Nicky Mackay and John Gosden is towards the top of the market. Spring of Love for Godolphin and Charlie Appleby is also up there, as well as Fantail for the Crisford duo. Steve, come to you first for this one. What's your take on the race? Who do you think is going to win? And do you think there's anything lurking at a price?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going near the head of the betting again with the Angel. They should have won at Doncaster last time. It was wandering around all over the place late on, and so it went down in a head bobber. In the end, Nicky Mackay takes over from Rab Havlin. Whether that'll make much difference, I don't know. But I think if she'd have stayed on a straight line, she'd have won, and can do that again. I'm just looking for one at a bit more of a price. Nesayim, is that how you say it? The James Tate one. PJ McDonald on board. I went in my notebook after winning a maiden at Newbury last season. Hasn't really repeated that form, but I note that she's had a wind operation before this comeback. And I think at a fair price, that one could run well. But if In the Angel just smartens up a little bit, stays in a straight line, I think it's fair enough that'll be head in the betting, I think.
Lovely stuff. One for Cheveley Park there. For Steve. Chad, what do you think?
I think I'm going to have the forecast in this. I'm going to have the winner. Yeah, I think Fantail's going to win the race. She was very good first time up. She bolted up, and they were talking about going for the Oaks with her. She then ran in a race at Chelmsford where she had a £7 penalty and was really keen and pulled. And she ruined her own chances, really. But Angel Power won the race. And Angel Power went on to run very well again at Haydock the next time. The form's starting to work out of that maiden. But that novice race, but she's very, very smart. I'm convinced she's very, very good. And if she learns to settle better, I think hands down on ability, she's miles better than these. And I think what's going to finish second is the outsider or supposed outsider, Final Option for William Muir. She actually got some very good form in the book from last year. If you delve into it and look, she has got some good form. She's running 2 hot races, finished 9th. This is substantially easier than the 2 races she's running when you go through form to form. And I just think with his horses flying, she's going to stay on and stay on and stay on at the end. And I'm going to have the 1-2.
Well, I have to say, that is true confidence. And that will pay out a significant amount if you get both those in correct order. Big old price as well. Certainly Final Options is a big price. I'm going to go elsewhere and go with Odyssey Girl. She came from the rear at Chelmsford last time out. And I think, considering now Sylvester D'Souza takes over, she should win off this mark. I'm confident of that fact, and she's got fitness on her side. She's a little more exposed to some of these. I do think she's capable in this kind of race off a mark of 80, so hopefully she can run well for Richard Spencer. That's the 225, the Fillies handicap. On now to the Group 2, Bet365 Superlative Stakes. Very difficult to make head or tail of these runners because Most of them have only had one start or two. Seventh Kingdom was very impressive on his debut at Doncaster. Master of the Seas, likewise. King Zane, also impressive, and Hudson River. Those are the four, possibly the ones who have won and had only one start and won their start, who make the most appeal. Devious Company's won 2 starts. Bright Devil for Betway ambassador Andrew Balding was 6th last time out. And there's a few others in there. St Lawrence. I'm going to go first this time, quickly, because I actually do quite like St Lawrence. I was really impressed with the way he won last time at Redcar. I know he was beaten on debut by Bright Devil, but I think he improved an awful lot for that performance. And I think Roger Varian and James Doyle could potentially have a Group 2 winner here. I love the way he travelled and quickened away that time. So I know he's got to step up a bit, but many of these do, really. It's difficult to say who's going to be on top at this stage of their careers, but hopefully St Lawrence can show the benefit of that little more experience and land the prize here. Chad, come to you. What's your take on the race? You think Bright Devil's got a chance?
Bright Devil will have a chance. He looked to me on his debut like he wanted further. I think his 7th furlong is going to be 7 furlongs, isn't it? Yeah, it's 7 furlongs to be to his liking. I was actually hoping Steve would go first and shine a light on a bit more of the speed figures shown by some of them. I do like.
Oh, you can go to Steve first if you like.
I do like it in this race. I mean, I haven't got a massive view on it, but I do like in 2-year-old races winner of one essentially, when one or two of them the speed figure stands out, which is why I like Dandala at Ascot when she won. Was her speed, her time figure, and her top speed and her time was very, very good for a first time out performance. I haven't gone into the details too much. I'm led to believe Hudson Rivers wasn't bad, and King Zane for Mark Johnson's wasn't bad either. But I don't have a massive opinion, so I'm hoping Steve's going to tell us all which is going to win and break the clock. Steve.
Steve, you shed some light.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah, Hudson River was okay at the Curragh, especially as he wasn't particularly fancied on the day. I don't think wasn't massively backed and just went from the front and did it quite nicely in the end. And as we know, Aidan O'Brien's normally do improve quite a lot from the first run. I mean, if you were going on speed figures alone, I mean, Devious Company at Haydock last time did well over 7. The ground's probably a bit quicker there than it will be in this race. And also, yeah, King Zane at Kempton did beat the par for the grade, if you like. Be interested to see how he gets on going on turf. I always like it when Frankie Dettori rides for Mark Johnston. I think that's a pretty good team. But I mean, the tick for me has gone next to Hudson River, just because we can expect plenty of improvement. But King Zane and Devious Company are the other two. If you're going on the clock, that I would give a good chance to.
Excellent stuff. Some very good speed figure information there. On now to the 410. Obviously, we've done the July Cup earlier on in the video. The Bunbury Cup, the Bet365 Bunbury Cup, Heritage Handicap, always a phenomenally good race and very competitive as always. This year looks no different with Hamdang Al Maktoum pair, Mutamasik and Motakayal heading the market here. He looks to have a very strong hand this year. And then it's further down to the likes of Godhead. And then you've got Tom Frey and a few others. Spanish City. Sabusco was impressive at Ascot last time, raising sand at the top of the weights. And Vale of Kent, who seems to run almost every day since racing has resumed. Steve, come to you first this time. Who do you like?
Well, it's bubbling up to be a bit of a rerun of the Buckingham Palace handicap from Ascot, really. Motakayal and Mutamasik. Motakayal, if that's how you say it, was on top last time, and I thought he looked more than a handicapper when he won that. Didn't get the clearest of runs and really did zoom away from them, and I think the winning margin could have been more. He did have the better of the draw, if you like, than Mutamasik. He was kind of away from the pace and did really well to finish third. I would be surprised if one of those two doesn't win. Vale of Kent's £9 higher than when winning this last year, so has a bit to find. And at a big price, I think Blackheath's been going all right this year. And has come down to a nice mark and should run all right. But I've gone for Motakayal to beat Mutamasik again.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, Steve. Chad, what about you?
It's a difficult race, actually. It's a really difficult race. You don't know the top two, Motakayal and I forget the other one. What's it called? Mutamasik. You just don't know how much they've improved from their first run. They both look like they're going to come forward from it. But then Sabusco is still on the improve. I think Spanish City will run well just because he always does. He's consistent. He finished 4th in this last year, I believe, behind Vale of Kent. And I just think variance horses are in a different vein of form. They still weren't in bad form last year, but they're in red hot form this season. And I think he's consistent. He goes well. He's reliable. So I think he'll go well. And also, I'm guessing this horse is outside of the field at the moment. No nonsense. I like when David Ellsworth has a horse, a 2-year-old, good enough to win a couple of races. They're usually above average. And this horse did. He was only beaten a couple of lengths by Calix at Ascot. I think this horse has got a lot of talent. He's just a little bit, maybe needed to have been wrapped in cotton wool, maybe hasn't been overly straightforward. He ran okay in the Wokingham, beaten 12 lengths. It wasn't the best, most taken performance. I do think he'll appreciate Newmarket. I do think he'll appreciate going up to 7 furlongs now. There's just something in that form. I remember seeing him against Calix that day and thinking he will definitely win a race. He's definitely got a bit of ability, but he hasn't gone on yet. But he's only had about 4 runs since. This isn't the strongest Bunbury Cup I've ever seen or ever likely to see, I don't think. So at a huge price, I'm willing to take a chance on no nonsense to get placed.
Excellent, love that. Big old price. I'm going to go slightly smaller price, but still a decent price. Lethal Lunch. Steps back up to 7 furlongs, I should say. Ran a big race last time, the Wokingham, to be 4th of 13 in his group. And I think back up to this trip, he can run a big race. Great stuff. That is Newmarket done and dusted. Now on to Ascot, where we have the Bred Summer Mile, which is a Group 2. Possibly not the strongest Group 2, although that said, plenty of these are dropping down from Group 1 level, having run at Royal Ascot, including Mahatha and Duke of Hazzard. Beat Le Bon up there at the top of the weights. Top of the weights, just top of the ratings. No, it's number 1. That's what I should say. Scardu, San Donato, Zaki, Marie's Diamond, who ran a belter last time out at Ascot, and Lord Tennyson, the interesting one, unexposed one for John Gosden. Steve, what do you think of this race? Do you think Mahatha's the one to beat?
Probably, yeah, and I really hope he wins. I'm a big fan of Marcus Tregonin going back to when he was kind of one of the top 5 or 6 trainers in the country. Sadly, those days are over for the time being, at least. But when he gets a good one, he doesn't mess it up very often. Very unlucky in the Queen Anne. Well, I suppose these things happen with a hold-up horse, but he did get blocked several times, and he was coming back from a very long break, so may have just needed it. Might need a bit of luck, probably a bit short, really. But I think if he gets a clear run, I think he'd probably win. The one I'm going to keep a very close eye on is Lord Tennyson. You mentioned about that one being unexposed. Got a very, very peculiar ride in the Hunt Cup when very well backed. Frankie just seemed to give up very early. Got blocked a couple of times, I know, but he just let the horse coast home. And we've seen already this season that John Gosden has been capable of putting one from a handicap and then go and win a Group 1 or Group 2 next time out. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that at a reasonable price. And you've got good old Duke of Hazzard in there as well. He's the type to pop up at a big price one day. And when you say this race could fall apart a little bit, this could be it. He won't be a huge price, but he deserves to be in there swinging, I think. But Mahatha should win, really.
Great. Mahatha for Templegate. And Chad, what about you?
The real race. I really like this. I might not get too emotionally and financially invested in it because it is. You could make a case for a couple. Mahatha's probably the best horse in the race, and you'd probably say if there was a Group 1 horse going forward, it's going to be this, based on his green and running his 5th on Champs Day last year. If he'd have got a good passage and finished 2nd at Royal Ascot or 3rd, would he be around the 3 to 1, 11 to 4 marker? He'd probably be nearer the 5 to 4 marker, wouldn't he? Really. So you'd have to say that it could be backable. Scardu, winner of the Craven, 3rd in the Guineas, 4th in the Irish 2000 last year. If he comes back to form, he's got plenty of ability. Duke of Hazzard, as you mentioned, Steve, he was actually on an upward curve last year, wasn't he? And maybe he probably needed that run back at Ascot more than his connections thought, certainly more than I thought. He's the kind of horse to pop up in this. When the race falls apart, he'll be coming at the end. You've got San Donato, who's completely unexposed. I do think with Lord Tennyson, he's in a bit of a rock and a hard place because he's only had 3 runs. He's almost weighted out of handicaps, and he probably needs a bit more experience and to win a proper group race. So he's going to be quite difficult to place. But John Gosden is the master, isn't he? And if anyone's going to place him properly, it'll be John Gosden. I think picking a selection, I'd say Mahatha will win and Duke of Hazzard each way.
Great, thanks, Chad. I'm going to go with Scardu. Didn't get a clear run really in the Queen Anne last time out. I think there's a Group 2 prize in him, possibly not a Group 1, but I think this kind of race could suit him, and Tom Marquand's on board. He's in cracking form, so Scardu will do me nicely. Finally, on Saturday, we have the Betfred Heritage Handicap, a sharp test over 5 furlongs here. A big prize to the winner, £40,000 overall. It's a decent little race this, very, very competitive. A Plum up there in the betting, as well as Arecibo, Stone of Destiny. Lahore at the top of the waves didn't run very well in Newcastle last time out. National Anthems won his last 3 races in a row. Jonah Jones, you could go on and on and on. There's plenty in this with big chances. Tone the Barone won his last 3 on the weather down the bottom of the weights. Chad, come to you first here. Thoughts on this?
Arecibo, I think it's a cracking bet. I really do. I think this is a group horse. I think he's a solid Group 3 horse. You do find that with sprinters, don't you? They run so often and they run into lots of trouble and lots of traffic, and that they can find their mark slipping and become quite backable within 4 or 5 runs. I do think, you know, he flew home at Doncaster last week behind Camacho Chief. He ran okay in the Woking, and before that ran okay, was only beaten 5 lengths by Far Above, who would certainly have been one of the better sprinters of the year if he was still going. Last year, he finished, Arecibo finished second, only beaten lengths behind Dakota Gold at Ascot off a mark of 100. Runs here off 97. Danny Tudhope comes for the ride. A fast 5. You can know they're going to go quick. He's going to come late. I think it'll be set up for him. I think he's a real proper bet, this horse, in this race.
Oh, I like that. Very confident. Steve, would you agree with Arecibo or something else?
Yeah, I've got him on the short list, but I've come down on a couple of others. They're both drawn high, which, you know what Ascot's like. That could be good, could be bad. We won't know until the race is finished, unfortunately. Jonah Jones is one of them. I thought he ran his best race for a long time. First time up for Ed Walker, having left Tom Dascombe. Put him back over this 5 furlong trip for the first time in a while, and he ran really well behind Celsius. If he can build on that, I think he won't be far away. And a Plum's the other one. Good run in the Silver, Wokingham. Another one, like you say, they come down, up and down the weights, these horses. This fella's come down a little bit. Didn't get the best of a rough race. And I give both of those a fair chance and just hope the draw on that side works out okay.
Lovely stuff. I'm going to go with Mountain Peak for Ed Walker. I was really impressed with the way he won last time, up to £7 in the weights now. Well, I don't think that's going to prove too much of a hindrance considering how impressive he was. And I also give a shout out to Lahore at the top of the weights. Rowan Scott takes off £3 here. He didn't get any sort of a run last time on Newcastle, so it was very poor performance. He's a lot better than that on his win at Doncaster. Before that, he definitely has strong claims. He'll be staying on very strongly over this trip, so I can see Lahore at the top of the weights running a big race too. Chad and Steve, thank you so much for this week. Those are 3 videos, all 3 days you can check out on our YouTube for the Newmarket meeting. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll all have a winner or 2 on Saturday afternoon at both Ascot and at Newmarket. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you all soon.
Love it.